just like a cat.
This review has been made possible by Norbert thanks to his great support on Ko-fi. If you want to be cool like him, or MC Skat Kat for that matter, please head over to my commission page to learn more details on how you can order your own requests for an animated movie, short film, or single cartoon episode for me to review. So, this has to be the most unorthodox subject for a review request since the very first one I did of McGee and Me. Not so much because it is a live action / animation hybrid, since I do let those officially qualify now, but because it happens to be a music video. But you know, whether they're fully live action, fully animated, or both, many music videos tend to be well crafted enough that they can be viewed as full-on short films worthy of examination, and could come out just as memorable as the songs they're attached to. And with this one I'll be talking about today, while it may be only a quarter away from being 4 minutes long, there is a ton of interesting history and trivia for me to share, as someone who loves learning about the 80s / 90s animation renaissance era. This is the music video to Paula Abdul's 1989 hit single, Opposites Attract. Because he's not as relevant as he once was, I'll give you a quick refresher on who Paula Abdul is. You may best remember this singer / dancer / choreographer for her guest appearance on the Sesame Street video Zoe's Dance Moves. Oh, and for being one of the original judges on some obscure reality show, I think it's called United States Pedestal Standard, but her animated co-star in this music video is even more deserving of an introduction for the unfamiliar. MC Skat Kat, the feline alter ego of the hip-hop duo The Wild Pair, with additional rapping courtesy of Derek Stevens. Now, this fine furry brother was obviously before my time, speaking as someone who grew up during the Crazy Frog and Gummy Bear crazes, but it's nevertheless fascinating how genuinely popular MC Skat Kat was during the release of Opposites Attract's music video, as far as fictional musical artists are concerned. Soon I'll discuss more about how he was brought to life, and a bit of his post-Opposites Attract career, because again, this is really interesting stuff. So with my own experience with this iconic music video prior to this review, just like many other pop culture things that were before my time, my earliest memory of learning about it was through the same place where I was introduced to a-ha's Take On Me music video, Family Guy. Hence the funny teaser I played at the beginning with Peter Griffin replacing MC Skat Kat in a way less expensive looking parody than the Anchors Away sequence with Stewie replacing Jerry Mouse. I'll come back to this in a moment. I may have seen the original Opposites Attract video at some point in my life before, but for sure I remember learning about the short-lived novelty of MC Skat Kat through a retrospective by Mars Reviews in 2019, which was a deep dive into everything you wanted to know about Skat Kat world, but felt it wasn't a high priority to ask. Okay, let's get straight to my own thoughts on MC Skat Kat's 3 minutes of fame, featuring Paula Abdul. Frankly, I don't have too much to say about the song itself, especially when analyzing lyrics and musical compositions is exactly a specialty of mine. That's Norbert's knack. Check out his many music reviews if you're interested, but I will say that Opposites Attract not only has that groovy, upbeat 80s sound to its instrumentals, but the song itself is very simple with its meaning, basically promoting the idea that two folks with many differences could still end up as friends or even a full-on romantic couple. It was very clever of the music video to take a creative step further with said message, depicting the live-action Paula hanging out with the 2D animated Skat Kat and his pussy posse. How such magic came to be for a music video that was released during this particular era for cool animation is what I wanted to set much of my focus on for this review, being an animator myself. The creation of MC Skat Kat and the idea of combining traditional animation and live action for Opposites Attract was an ambitious collaborative effort between numerous creative figures, including Paula Abdul, obviously, The Wild Pair and Derek Stevens, the voices of Skat Kat, the directing couple of Michael Patterson and Candice Reckinger, who previously animated the aforementioned Take On Me music video, and Disney animator Chris Bailey, who oversaw the animation direction for this video. Chris especially I want to highlight. He ran an amazing career in animation, with directing credits on Kim Possible, Quirks the Animated Series, the infamous Mickey Mouse short Runaway Brain, which still won't be released on Disney Plus anytime soon, and the rather underrated Scooby-Doo and Guess Who, from which since the episode A Hunt of a Thousand Voices is still on my to-do list to finish write my review of, but a key reason I wanted to bring up Chris Bailey especially is because among the many great Disney movies he worked on, The Little Mermaid was one of them. As you may know, that film was released on November 17th, 1989. And you know what else came out on that date? Opposites Attract? Man, this was really a booming period for animation, wasn't it? Bringing up Anchors Away again, Paula Abdul was a huge Gene Kelly fan growing up, so that classic 1945 film was cited as the main inspiration for Opposites Attract's music video being a live-action cell animation hybrid, with its memorable musical sequence of Gene Kelly dancing with Jerry from Tom and Jerry. And yeah, the appealing S-curved design of MC Skat Kat is like if Tom fused with MC Hammer, a nice blend of retro and contemporary. However, considering the time of this music video's release, it's kinda impossible to not speculate that the decision to pair a live performer with a cartoon character was also motivated thanks to the success of Who Framed Roger Rabbit 1 year earlier. Talk about a landmark in animation history. While I'm personally a bigger fan of the Canadian short film attached to it, Roger Rabbit is up there with The Simpsons, Ren and Stimpy, and the Disney Renaissance films, and how its impact cannot be underestimated. It not only reminded more people of how awesome the Golden Age cartoons were, but its remarkable visuals truly expanded upon what previous efforts to have live humans and tunes interact with each other had already established. The production value of the Opposites Attract music video isn't exactly on par with what Richard Williams supervised on Roger Rabbit, but there was still some strong effort put into the making of it. Oh yeah, this also came out around the same time as McGee and Me, but if you ask me, that series doesn't resemble Roger Rabbit as much as it does the obscure Warner Bros. Pilot, Filbert, which you can find on the Looney Tunes Golden Collection. Based on the little I've seen of McGee and Me, I see its medium blending is on a lower budget than Opposites Attract. The animation of McGee himself is clearly being done on a more standard TV series level that couldn't provide enough frames to seamlessly blend in with his live-action creator, Nick, or the real objects he interacts with. It's almost like apples versus oranges. Now, to name one detail that the animation of MC Skat Kat and the other characters lacks when superimposed onto the live-action footage, it's the inner shadows. In Roger Rabbit, as well as these earlier Fanta commercials that Richard Williams' studio made with Mickey Mouse and friends, it was a vital element that evokes extra depth and adds believability to the illusion that these otherwise two-dimensional characters are really interacting with actors such as Bob Hoskins or Christopher Lloyd, although the cats at least cast shadows below them, so there is that sense of depth present. In any case, this is an infinitely more successful example of mixing live action and animation than, say, Cool World. But speaking of Ralph Bakshi, one other 80s music video I briefly want to compare and contrast with Opposites Attract is the Rolling Stones' Harlem Shuffle, which was co-directed by Bakshi and animated by a lot of the people who would later go on to make Ren and Stimpy, including the late great Jim Smith. It too features appealing designs paying homage to classic cartoons and a little interspecies romance between a cat and a pretty girl. However, it's clear that the live action and animated elements in that video feel much more segregated from each other. Any instances in which the two mediums do overlap is more akin to whenever the Brothers Grunt on MTV would randomly pop up to do their nonsense in the middle of a music video. The Harlem Shuffle video is charming nevertheless, just like most of the other proto-Spumco stuff during the 80s. Going back to Opposites Attract, it may not be on Roger Rabbit levels exactly, but the effort to have this cool cat dance with Paula Abdul in a believable manner were no walk in the park. In between his work on The Little Mermaid and The Rescuers Down Under for Disney, Chris Bailey spent after hours during weekends in his garage directing the animation and preparing pencil tests for him and his fellow animators to review. The reference for much of MC Skat Kat's moves was provided by breakdancer Michael Chambers, with additional dance moves from Bill Balls. The labor-intensive nature of this whole process stems from a few things. For one, filming the live-action footage was a 2-day-long step that required multiple takes, including shots with Paula dancing solo, and with her dancing with either one of her partners to give the animators reference. Although, it sounded like this wasn't too challenging for a gifted dancer like Paula. Secondly, it's obviously important to remember that MC Skat Kat and the other cartoon characters were all animated traditionally on hand-painted cells, tracing over the dance reference footage with no digital assistance. Though later in his career, Chris Bailey would use computer animation for similar medium blending in fine films such as these. According to Michael Patterson and Candice Reckinger, the animation cleanup was provided by Bill Melendez's studio of Peanuts fame. The original director and voice of Snoopy himself welcomed the younger animators with open arms, and Candice recalled that Bill Melendez Productions, quote, did a beautiful job on cleaning up Skat Kat. And I agree, everything done to put this great music video together was well worth the labor intensity, because Opposites Attract was one hell of a smash hit. The single itself topped the Billboard Hot 100 chart in the US and Canada for 3 weeks, and the music video deservedly won a Grammy Award for Best Music Video. It was also very successful when it aired on MTV, to the point where MC Skat Kat could have predated Beavis and Butthead as the network's official mascot back when they remembered what the M in their initials stood for. Skat Kat would continue his music career for a little while longer, including an appearance in the charity-driven music video Yakety Yak Take It Back that was also shown on Sesame Street of all places, and getting an entire album with his name on it. However, the success he got through Opposites Attract was never duplicated. His subsequent music videos are still visually pleasing for animation nerds like myself. Skat Strut took cues from the Looney Tunes masterpiece Duck Amuck, and big time had the bonus of the genius supervising animator Eric Goldberg providing us with animation that's even smoother than what was previously seen in Opposites Attract. But at the end of the day, MC Skat Kat was really a one-hit wonder who'd be lucky if he's remembered nowadays for at least being an amusing late 80s/early 90s time capsule piece, rather than just a punchline in a Seth MacFarlane cartoon.
Got it! I remember this song, and I remember this cat, Garfield. This son of a hates Mondays.
He may not have had a long music career in the veins of Crazy Frog, Gorillaz, or even my fellow Canadians Simon and Milo of Prozac. But if MC Skat Kat is remembered solely for this fun video with Paula Abdul, then it isn't anything to sneeze at in the slightest. Talking about the magic behind Opposites Attract's music video has been one of the most exuberant subjects in my review requests collection thus far, because of how many appealing aspects it inhabits, not the least of which is it being an interesting piece of 80s, 90s animation renaissance history made by Cal Arts graduates during the popularity height of the even more influential Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And who knows, after this, I feel open to talking about other animated music videos in the future. For instance, the Ren and Stimpy fanatic in me would love to talk about Harlem Shuffle in more detail, and how it inspired a particular episode of the show. Thank you so much, Norbert, for giving me this opportunity to do a little retrospective on this classic music video. To everyone else watching, let me know if you remember the music video to Opposites Attract and MC Skat Kat in general, whether or not you're at an age where you could have grown up with them organically. And as always, if you enjoyed this look back, please remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a cat emoji, any cat emoji, in the comments to confirm that you watched this until the very end. Thanks for watching, and take care. No, actually, one more thing. Remember the Fanta commercials with Mickey Mouse I mentioned earlier? So there's this one in 1993 with Mickey essentially cheating on Minnie with supermodel Claudia Schiffer. Was it inspired by Opposites Attract by any chance? I don't know, the resemblance feels just a tad bit uncanny. Anyway, I'm gonna scat.